Welcome back, 606 Garage. This episode, part 2. We're welding in them subframe connectors. Probably the most important part of it, obviously. So, I've got some good video footage of this, some good up close stuff, and I hope it helps you out. Maybe you can find something that I've done wrong, point it out in the comments. I'd be happy to know, because as of right now, I think I'm doing it right. So, but anyway, this is how I do it. This is what works for me. And I hope it helps you out. Stay tuned. Alright, so we got to get these pieces prepped for welding. Alright, so these are the pads. This is also kind of like a Torx box reinforcement. It serves like a double purpose. These get welded on. You notice I painted the inside. The outside I haven't painted. Now I'm not sure where this connector is going to land. So I'm not that concerned about it. However, I am concerned about having clean metal. That is the key to a good clean weld, a good solid weld. This one has to go like this. Okay, yes. So I'm gonna weld this all the way around here like this and flat. This goes on the inside. This goes inside where your control arm is. I'm not sure if I'm getting you. This side, like your control arm's going here. This goes up here like that. Your subframe connector is going to go right in here somewhere, and I'm going to grind this when I figure out where it lands here. These got to be clean if you want decent welds. You know, people's always like, man, he's such a good welder. Well, I'm going to tell you what, and I'm not talking about me, but I'm just saying when people make that comment in general when you see something on, look on Facebook, look on TikTok, look on, wherever, Instagram. If you see somebody making a really pretty clean weld, that metal looks good. That is key. It always will be key. Now, for me, these pieces, they go on first. I'll weld these on first, and then I'll mark it right here, and then I'll grind my strips so I can weld to my, support. Now, this piece right here, painted, ready to go, it gets welded. Like I said, I'm going to weld this in place, mark these, grind these. Now once I'm going to bolt this to where they belong, I'm going to bolt this to the bottom of the car. Reminds me I got to go take the rear seat bolts out, put different bolts in. They'll be, and I'll have them kind of loose. So, and then I'm going to set the subframe connector up in there, and I'm going to mark the subframe connector where it lands right here. I will also grind it in the same location. Then we're going to pull it out. And honestly, now it's not going to sit in there perfect. So what I'll do is, you notice I use the jack to hold it up in place. Once I get it where it needs to be, I'll tack weld it. Well, see here, there might be a slight gap. It might not reach all the way to the top of this, but it might be hitting right here. It just depends, So that's why you put these in place, and then you tack weld that subframe connector to this, and then you pull it out and you finish sewing it up and then paint it. So, all right. Now, that one's good. All right. those pieces are prepped. Let's grab the degreaser and let's start cleaning underneath the car. All right, bear with me here. I just basically sprayed everything down. Let it soak for a minute. And then I'm gonna wipe this down real good. And then we're gonna set the plates up there and mark them. We're gonna go ahead and grind them, tack them in place. All right, so we got the passenger side cleaned up. You notice where I had to cut those. So now, like I said, 79 to 81 is the only one that it's like that. You notice how thin, how small the cross member is. So if you're ever wondering what the difference was, that's the difference. The 79 coupe I'm building over there, I'm using a Stifler's tubular cross member, but I've done fine without it on this one. All right, now unfortunately this car has studs going through, and the studs that's going through are not long enough. So I'm gonna weld with the carpet and everything in there. It's crazy, but I'm ready for anything, you know, as if it's to happen. I'm gonna weld these nuts, these studs, and take my impact and run them out real quick. And then I'm gonna put the longer grade 8 bolts in there. All right, got them welded. Let's see if that works. Huh, that did not. See if this one did. That one did work. All right. So I'm gonna get me a large washer and put on these, run them down in there. And I guess I need to re-weld that sucker. Alright, got them out. Actually had to weld a different nut on that one, but they're out. New bolts are in place. As you can see, I've got a lot more to work with here. And they're stronger bolts. This is going to go up there like so. And I'm going to keep it hard up against this. Now you notice there's a little gap here, right where this has been bent in, but I'm going to weld it here. I'm going to weld it here, but I want it, and I'm going to weld it here because I want it flat against that, and I can kind of heat this and hammer this down whenever we get everything ready to completely sew it up. But I want it square with the frame rail. Alright. I have it tacked exactly where I want it. Now I'm gonna sew up a little, about that 1 inch space right there. And I'm gonna start contouring that to fit that right there. But I wanted it square with that frame. Alright, so I've got my corner welded in, and I've got that inch welded in. Do something different right there, goodness. Makes all the difference on clean metal though, so. Now, I'm gonna take my little ball peen hammer, and I'm gonna kinda get it closer to the pad there and finish sewing it up. Just a few easy taps with a hammer. She's right up against it. Let's finish sewing it up. All right, so I've got this thing up in place. Basically, I'm just using this jack. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with a grinder up against here, and then I'm gonna tack it in place, and I'll try to grind this out the best I can with this actually welded to this. As you can see, it's hard up against it on the top, but on the inside, you see that gap? That's what I was talking about. You can't weld those on before you get, before you set this in place. Now, you notice how I've marked around, that's where I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna weld it to the frame here, around here, in the middle, and on the end. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the inside, but I can do that, after I get this thing kind of where I need it to be. And then after we're done with that, we're gonna spray some primer back on some of the welds, and we're gonna put some more of the black crinkle paint on it. And then honestly, there's really no point in me videoing the other side, because it's basically a mirror image of this. Now I am going to take this fuel line loose and pull it away. But other than that, I about got this one in place. Now if you'll notice, there's that gap I was talking about. All you gotta do is just turn your wire speed up a little bit. You don't really need to fill it with anything. And she's burning in. Other than that, we finished sewing her up. All right, we got her welded up. Just gotta wait for it to cool down. We're gonna clean it up, paint it. We're gonna bolt this on the car and it's not coming back off. All right, so we got that. Now I started welding my tab, but I can't till I move my fuel line. And we're welding in back here. So we are almost done. I'm not gonna actually video the other side. I might video a shot of it after it's completely in there, but it's literally the exact same process as this. Now, when I move I'm gonna remove the exhaust. I'll weld that inner tab that goes around this torque box in here. You remember there's a flap up in there? I'll finish welding it in once I remove that exhaust, that muffler. So that is one thing. If you want, usually when I put these in, it's rollers. You know, I do it on a roller car, and it has no exhaust, no gas tank, and because usually I'll remove the gas tank, I'll weld the subframe connectors in, and then I'll have a place to set my jack stands up, you know. Put your jack stands right there, you got a decent place now. And then I'll start working on my upper and lower torch boxes with the rear end completely out, and I can just sit in there Indian style and do what I need to do underneath the car. So, but other than that, yeah, I believe we're gonna have a set of subframe connectors in here this weekend. All right, guys, I gotta get rolling. I did, you know, after you seen the last little clip where I welded that little piece in there, I stopped. That was at 11:30. It's now 12. Basically, I stopped there because I call this a fire watch session. I'm just waiting to see if anything is smoldering that I don't see. And I just kind of hang out. And now, instead of continuing to weld, I just want to make sure everything was safe because I'm going to leave. I hope to see you all there in Ohio Valley. All right, just a quick recap. This is where all I welded. And I welded across the front of the subframe connector. In the back, I've got, you know, several welds on that. And I got all the way around that as well. So now I'm just gonna kind of clean it up and paint everything. This side is pretty much done, other than the fact that I gotta take that muffler loose and weld that tab on the other side. But I'm gonna do them both at the same time, so. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Just clean them up, put some paint on, and you've got your subframe connectors installed. All right, we are down to the last clip. As you notice, the exhaust is laying on the ground. This was the tabs I was talking about, getting inside here and finishing up. So everything is done, cleaned, painted, 100%. It's in there. You know, excuse the welds, I'm not a professional welder, but I promise you it's solid. Now I have not put the studs in here yet, or the bolts, so I just gotta, you know, weld the nuts on top and pull them things out. Put our new grade 8s in, draw it down. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is a complete set. I'm sorry, a complete install on a set of subframe connectors. Alright guys, hope I was able to help you give a little insight on subframe connectors. I'm not saying it's the right way, but this is the way I do it. And I feel like it works pretty good. You'll be see another video coming soon related to subframe connectors for sure. So yeah, that's how I install them. It works great, and I hope you're able to use this video and maybe give you some more ideas. Maybe, you know, you could probably definitely do a better job than what I did, but that's how I do it. Like I said, this is now the, I don't know, 4th or 5th set of those that I put in. So that seems to be what works the best for me. Guys, thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Always be safe. Always wear your protection. Now, I did not put in here, I did use an auto darkening face shield, whatever, helmet. Just a Pro MiG 140 Lincoln, just a Lowe's special. I am using shielded gas, 024 wire, and what else? You know, just a little grinding disc with like 50 grit. Now I've only used one disc so far. Now I just pretty much took it out, but you know, I'm talking about from the time I welded the end caps on it, everything, I've used one disc. So don't get, you know, you ain't gotta get too aggressive with it. But yeah, that's how I do it. Have a great weekend.